What's up, guys? Hey, welcome to Grim After Dark. My name is John, and this is your weekly Warhammer rundown, where we hit the high points of the last week in the community and talk to the best players and content creators from around the world. Now, with the caveat with our title. Our title, I've just been told, is that we talk to the LVO champion, or the champion of LVO, which is very specific phrasing, because it's the champion of our hearts, the champion of our minds. It's going to be Val. So just going to throw it out there. It's Val. This is going to be the last time we mention LVO for a while, and we're going to cheap out in the gas. And we just talk to Val about the pressures of streaming the largest Warhammer tournament in the world and the evolution of the FLGN's Ocho division and maybe even more. Who knows? My co-host today needs some introduction. He's the terror of the mid-tables and was my partner for the Long War Doubles team tournament at the Las Vegas Open as Danny McDivett. Hey, Danny. Good to see you. Danny, the theme we presented for our team, Long War Doubles, of course, very narrative, very fun. The theme we presented for our team was winning, as we took Grey Knights and Custodes to a perfect 3-0.
Yeah.
Which was punctuated with some very childlike glee present from you as you were running the new Custodes book. Please tell me about that.
Well, John, hyped up on a combination of whiskey shots from one of our friends and also
Thanks,
a
Kyle.
bucket of beer. Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah. I was able to barely contain my childish glee when my Blade Champions cut a bunch of stuff in half in combat, which was just amazing. I took 2 Custodes Blade Champions, and they were every bit the hero that you would expect them to be. So, way fun time playing that. Yeah.
Land Raiders gone. Rhinos gone.
Gone.
Anything
Characters gone. Doesn't matter.
Just your opponent's faces, or our opponent's faces, I guess, because I'll get in on this action too. When you told them, "Oh, you can't hit him on anything less than a 4," made me really empathize with that opposing team.
Yeah.
Something else bringing Danny glee this week is Tau, as we see from this wonderful meme here, showing that Tau might be slightly problematic for the game state currently. Danny, you've had a few games with the new book. Is this meme accurate? Are Tau really that good that they're going to just destroy the meta and let casual players survive if they let them?
I mean, it's a good book, John. But like, we're just going to have to
wait. Energy and enthusiasm behind that it's a great book.
John, it's not just a great book, but it's maybe the best book of this edition, like in how it's written. I really like it. It's probably busted, like probably. So it could probably use a couple of tweaks, but I don't think that. I mean, like, let's see how the meta adapts.
It's just a hammer and a meta full of nails. As the hammers keep on increasing, and we're pretty soon we're going to have like 2 nails and 75 hammers.
How many hammers can your hammer into the wood? So
of course, being the sledgehammer. Val, jump on in here. Well, we'll introduce our guest at this time, Val. Just literally chomping at the bit, wearing those FLGN glasses.
Yeah, that was quite the cackle, Danny.
Thanks.
You know, as a Warhammer insider, I mean, you know as much as anyone what's coming. Are you saying that Tau are the preeminent franchise at this time?
I mean, let's be honest, Eldar are on their way. So let's wait and see.
Right.
So Tau are the preeminent faction right now until the Eldari Codex gets released. At which point we have 3 months of Eldari before hopefully it's toned down by the data slate. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, no. I mean, they got it right with Drukhari, like first shot. So I'm sure
it'll definitely happen the first time. I mean, no worries.
I mean, if that nail's a little too high, they're going to hammer right down, right, guys? They're just going to
right.
Yeah. You can't hammer a hammer, and this meta full of hammers needs a couple.
Hammer. It's pronounced Hammer. Okay.
Hummer. Well,
Hammer.
Guys, we were both at a Las Vegas Open. All 3 of us were. The Games Workshop Las Vegas Open preview announced many things. One of which that particularly stood out to me was the Necromunda Ash Wastes, which made it very difficult for me to stand with its promise of Mad Max style vehicular mayhem. What do you guys have to say about the reveals from the preview? There was a little bit of feedback that it might be a little lackluster.
You know, John, I'm not really sure. I don't know if I remember this preview very well.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. It's a good thing we brought in Val then. Val, preview.
Well, I
Some
mean,
said a little lackluster, but there was a ton of huge news and announcements that came out of it.
sure. And I mean, my favorite part of the preview was that elements of the insider community made sure that we were well prepped in advance for most of the reveals. I
Thanks, guys.
thanks everyone. / you're ruining it. Please stop. But also nothing about Warhammer: The Old World. So who gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
Probably lots of
I mean,
people. I mean, the old
that's
world
it.
died for a reason. I mean, we can go on another rant about like Warhammer Fantasy again, but I'm very outnumbered by you two on that one here.
My absolute favorite part was Ryan Schwartz carrying the Avatar in a little Citadel, like Crusader case, like the new Avatar, like it was the nuclear football around with Mike Brandt. It was fantastic. He had the launch codes. Let little kids come over and have a look.
Amazing. The launch
The
code.
launch
yeah.
code on the case, it was 000 on a
1,
TSA
1.
approved lock.
2, 2. 3,
Dude, you
3.
know it was 6969. I mean,
That's
come
right.
on.
That's
Bunch
right.
of mature peoples there. I think the biggest announcement over here was Games Workshop's increased involvement with the tournaments and the ITC, giving more support to tournament organizers, to players, to all of those kind of things. What were your guys' takeaway from what you saw or read about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see like maybe some more of the details. I don't know that I've read a lot of those yet. So I'm kind of waiting. I guess this is another thing. Let's see how the meta adapts. Right?
Yeah. GW is a hammer in a tournament circuit full of nails.
Wow.
Coming in, what they're doing. If you are a tournament organizer in the ITC and you get access to the full digital rule set that GW provides, so that way when you're running your tournaments through the GW app, you'll be able to have access to all of the rules possibly available that are probably going to be correct at the time. Also, greater prize support. I believe the winner of the LVO actually received a 2,000 point army from GW, and then even invitational only tournaments, similar to what we were seeing with the GW events from last year. Val, did you see anything else in there that was interesting to you?
Well, I mean, Rob Symes has been salaciously spreading the rumors that the ITC was bought and paid for. It was over. There's no longer. It wasn't even international. It was just bought. It was over, and they're wrong. It's a partnership, guys. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
It is holding hands and skipping through the park. There is still an international in the ITC, not independent. Not independent.
Mm-hmm.
It's a codependency, I think, at this
I was going to
point.
say it's the CDC now. It's a codependent tournament scene.
That's right. So
circuit even.
Yeah, if you will. So yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think anything that Games Workshop does to support, organized play, competitive play is fantastic. Especially since I mean, the stuff they're doing is fantastic because it's just this no-brainer stuff. It's things that giving access to digital rules, stuff that really doesn't cost them anything to do, but gets them a lot of goodwill. So it's I don't know. I think it's just a positive, and hopefully that keeps going. And this is, of course, all thanks to good old Michael Brandt, who's I think really leading the charge for competitive play with Games Workshop, which is great.
Yeah. So you have the two sides. You have one side who sees GW as saviors coming in, giving free rules to the TOs and really promoting competitive play. And then you have the other side who think GW's ultimate business strategy is to destroy a player base and make the game be played less and be less fun, which is obviously what's happening with this one here.
That's only what makes sense.
It's only what makes sense. I know. If I had a game out here, and we should probably talk to Michael Tempe. He has Outward Realms, a game he designed that was on show at LVO. The real way to promote your game is to make it as hard to play and as unsupported as possible. If Reddit has taught me anything.
Yeah.
And it has. But
Really?
excitingly, you guys talked about the avatar that was on display at the Las Vegas Open. We saw a ton. We saw new Shining Spears, a sexy new Morgan Ra coming out with his bone scythe. Um, the Eldari are coming, and the leaks keep on dripping. And Danny, I know
Ooh.
you are more excited than most for this, as this meme explains the new Eldari battle focus better than I can. Of a free D6-inch move after shooting. Danny, what's your take on the new battle focus?
John, the rumors are dripping, and so am I.
Wow.
I'm ready.
Wow.
I'm ready.
Moist for Eldari.
Yeah,
Hashtag moist for
I've-
Eldar.
I'm half staff for Eldar. Like, I'm ready to go. Let's get this done.
That's Eldar, not Elder. So you're not moist for elders. You're
Thank you.
moist for Eldari. I just want
I
to make
mean,
sure
look,
that's clear.
Let's not put labels on it. I mean, let's see where the night takes us. You know what I mean?
You know, I think it's
That's
great
fair,
that they're redoing some of the aspects, but in my Warhammer chat yesterday, I said like, what aspects are still like outstanding, and it's a lot of them. Like
Yeah.
warp spiders are still on not touched.
So old.
So old, and like
Yeah.
just one like are they the last dude who's just stands there like this? Like I think they're like one of the last ones with just the weapon on the chest, standing around, and you know I think they could have gone all out. You know what? Like I don't.
Yeah, I think between them and the Phoenix Lords, you're looking at the oldest sculpts that are in play right now.
What you're
wild.
seeing is the last army made to look like Egyptian hieroglyphics on a wall, as they're all just side profiled, pointing their gun on the way. And while what we're seeing coming out with the Reapers and Shining Spears, it's very similar to what's coming before. They're not reinventing the wheel of what these units are looking like.
Right.
Yeah.
They are, in fact, much more dynamic and kind of plastic kits, which is great.
Yeah.
If you've ever cleaned up a Finecast Fire Dragon, you will not be complaining about these kits at all.
Let me tell you. So I built some of the Rangers and the Autarch this weekend because GW was nice enough to send John and I a box, and those models are so much nicer. Like they're in proportion and like they go together really easily. They're really cool. I'm looking forward to getting some more of those for sure, of that quality.
Also, the Chosen were super nice as well from
Yeah.
that box. Thanks. Super cool. Moving on.
Thanks for the free stuff.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
the free stuff. Appreciate it. Vigilus alone. It's a super good book. Richard Siegler, though, came up from the bayous and swamps of scenic Florida for only the 5th time this year to claim not only the Las Vegas Open for himself, 6th time this year. Thank you, Val.
Mhm.
I love how you have a full day's access to this, but wait till we're live to tell me where I'm wrong. But he didn't only claim the Las Vegas Open for himself, but the ITC season for himself as well. Danny, Val, what are your guys' takes on this historic season of minimal participation for maximum prizes?
Val, I really want to hear what your take is on this because I feel like maybe you had maybe some back alley negotiating that went on to make sure that this was a possibility. Is that a true rumor?
Yo, look, all I'm saying is I know where to get the PPE, all right? You want some PPE? You want a baby's diaper for your face? I got it, okay? I got it. We got the aerosols. We're covered, man. I was able to just tell Richard Siegler, don't worry about it. Everything's cool. You just come on in. We'll get you in. We'll get you out. Cover of darkness, etc. Boom. Wins the ITC, wins the LVO.
And with that, a free ticket to Cruise Hammer, which absolutely
Pretty spectacular.
doesn't.
Pretty spectacular.
Which doesn't probably be on the same dates as ATC.
Doesn't suck, I'll tell you that.
Who knows?
I would say though that I just want to call out that like one of the things that I was really pleased to have Richard Siegler there for is the feat that he just performed. It's pretty awesome and insane, which is going in with essentially a perfect record, 6 events, and he gets the ITC championship. I don't know if anyone's come anywhere near that.
I mean,
he didn't even win all the events either. He had a 4th place in there, right?
One of them, and he was playing not New Tau at Atlantic City.
Dude.
So he had a just for funsies event. Normally that's like event 12 or 13 once people are feeling pretty cozy, like they'll run Ultramarines or some shit. No. His first event, he was like, I'm just going to run Tau, see what happens.
It'll be
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah,
so
this is what I'm known for.
That's
Running just YOLO lists and calling it good.
after that it was business. Like he definitely he was in it to win it after that time. But I don't know. It was super cool. And I think if he didn't make it, it would have been too bad. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not exactly making headline news, but that's a cool story. And I think
It
that's
is.
like everyone who was around at this time and following the game and giving a shit about this. I think they will remember that one for a while. I think that's one of the most outstanding, ITC achievements, if that's something to be had that we've
Yeah.
had.
Because the second place behind him in the ITC was Manny Chima, right?
The Chima.
And he had so many more events, which is crazy because you think that you're going to go in, kind of post your best scores and kind of do your best and try and improve every time. But of course, Siegs just came in and did the opposite of just being like, I'll win 5, I guess.
I mean, I'll just walk. It's like a walk-off home run, right? It's like
yeah.
It's like the buzzer beater. It's
I mean,
fantastic.
He's like Babe Ruth calling a shot, right? Like he's pointing with the bat over the base, like I'm gonna knock this out of the park again. Like
the word.
So I've been in the pre-winners circle a lot with Richard, just because of the fact that I streamed 5 of the 6 events that he won.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're kindred spirits at this point. I feel attached to him in a way, just because he's always on the freaking top table.
Right. He keeps winning your events.
Yeah. And the funniest thing about him is, they call him like this emotionless robot. But when you get close enough to him and like you just hear him talking, he's just talking shit. Like he is just talking garbage about how he's going to win and how no one else stands a chance. And it makes my day every time I hear him just go off about how he is the greatest. It's like Muhammad Ali. It's ridiculous. But he does it quite quietly. He does it to himself and to those, who might be nearby trying to get audio to work. And it's fortunate for him that he's always on my streams that, normally
the
the
audio never works.
Yeah, it just can't be heard. So it's good. So his reputation stays intact.
For sure. Because, you wouldn't want people to know that he's like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
That's right.
until the camera turns on. And then he just instantly changes.
I know we're trying to get through the opening bit, but I do want to say one other thing. Aside from his torrents, and I'm not going to put in Nicorette. I'm going to put that down. Aside from his torrents of talking nonsense, I would point out that like at the end of the LVO, he wins the biggest event that we've got. He's won the ITC, so he's got his free cruise. I hope he got money. Did he get money this year? Any money? No money. Did he get money? He used to get the money. He used to get $4,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
I had to interrupt those guys. So he was there with Matt Laura at the table going over the game as if it was any other game. And like I had to like go up and be like, "Hey, could we get you guys for an interview? Would that be cool?" But like he was just so gracious, and Matt Laura, who's I don't know, youngish guy. Certainly, this is the biggest stage he's ever been on, probably literally and figuratively. He, walked off that stage, head held up high. Was able to be tremendously. He was the most confident I saw him the whole day after, narrowly losing the finals. So, I think
I will say, like,
I think it was awesome
this
how
amazing.
Richard was.
You had this amazing graphic kind of pre-final where it was kind of the versus screen, and you had a picture of Richard Siegler. A picture of Matt Laura, and you're like, that these are the things here. It did look like a high school after school club had made a PowerPoint. They were 2 very young looking gentlemen. For sure.
And that's good too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't all just be like midlife crisis millennials, like we need people.
And obviously the reason I'm not winning LVO is because I aged out of it. It's a young man game now. That's right. That's the only reason.
That's clearly the case.
Clearly. But moving on here, for all of our talking about if you think you're just going to show up at LVO and make the top 8, you're not going to. I would like to say it to Evan Thompson, Ben Neal, David Gallard, Matt Laura, who all finished in the top 8. Danny and I, we want to send out our sincerest, our bad on that.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Good job.
Whatever.
Good job, guys. Speaking of, and you guys mentioned Matt Laura, he came out of nowhere to kind of make it to the final, made it through the shadow round to come in against Siegler. He had some really unique objectives and dice, Val, right? Did you manage to capture those beauties on camera at all?
I didn't. We had our own objectives, and I did not notice any dice. What was he doing?
The rumor going around the hall was he had some beautiful Taylor Swift objectives.
That's incredible. I hope
And
that's
some
true.
Taylor's like everything with Taylor Swift from what I heard. So the dice, the objectives, the shirt he was wearing was a Taylor Swift shirt.
It's true.
He gave
So real.
he gave out some dice, for his like either I don't know podcast or gaming group, but I wish I could remember what it is off the top of my head, but my mind is not good.
No.
That
So many
anecdote.
people
Let's move
giving
on.
dice to him, so love it. Okay, cool. We also want to throw a little shout out to Tyler Bortel, our editor here at Grim After Dark, for his 69th place finish at LVO. Nice.
Nice.
It's all got nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't come in first, be 69th or
Yeah,
420th.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can't get that or 420th place.
Who was 420? Who's all right?
Well,
You guys,
okay,
you guys continue being funny. I'm gonna look up who is 420.
oh, we got Danny. We got to start being funny. Holy cow!
Oh, no.
Well, let me tell my little anecdote. Day 3.
Okay.
Danny, we were obviously not playing competitively. We were playing the long war doubles. Do you remember when I tried to kill Brad Chester accidentally? That was a thing I did.
Talk about aging out of LVO. That
Yeah.
guy's like aged out of now solid food, actually.
So my two of my favorite things at LVO happened with Brad Chester. One was the fact that I continually pretended I had never met him, and kept going up and introducing myself to him.
That's
and
cruel.
asked if
That
you
was a
remember me from Charity Hammer.
That
I think I
was a
did
good
that
running gag.
40 to 50 times over the course of 3 days, and he laughed every time. And then the second one was I had this set of jelly belly beans, and they were like cayenne pepper, ghost pepper, Carolina Reaper, stuff like
Right.
that. And I gone up to Brad. I'm like, "Hey, do you want a jelly bean?" He's like, "Yeah, I want a jelly bean." I'm
No
like,
context. God, first
It
of
was-
all, if someone offers you one jelly bean, like, be on high alert.
and then I was like, "You are aware this is really spicy, right?" It's like, "Yeah, it's fine."
Oh,
So
no.
I did give him a Carolina Reaper jelly bean.
Oh my goodness.
He did ingest it. He instantly screamed, "What the F?" and asked for water. I let him know that,
Asked for a
6
priest.
Only
6
bitches
p.m.
drink
on a-
water.
6 p.m. on a Sunday, there's no water in the LVO
yeah, there's-
hall. All the things were empty.
We have consumed as players over $30,000 worth of drinkable water in that event by
Yep.
that point in time.
Yeah, and in Vegas, that's like 3 carafes.
Right.
And then he proceeded to spit it out and then run out of the hall, and I never saw him again. So I can only assume that he's joined the ghost plane. Now back to our competitive correspondent, Val. Who came 420th at LVO?
Michael Celeste playing Necrons. Gone out to
Oh,
a hot
man.
start out of the gate. Perfect score 100, and then stumbled
Ooh.
immediately, putting up a
Icarus.
41, sliding to a 3-3 finish, including by the looks of it, a big goose egg in round 6 might have dropped. So clearly went out to smoke some doobies instead of finishing out the
Clearly.
tournament.
So
Bad
he was
move.
like 410th, 405th, and it was like, "Hey, there's a real chance I can
There's a
be
chance here.
420th."
The
but
pro
I-
move is to smoke
Yeah.
a doobie and play your last game.
That's right.
Absolutely. So in our newest
As they,
segment,
as they always said, there'll be lots of time for playing 40K when you're living in a van down by the river.
That
Which
famous
was
40K
ironically
quote. Like,
the last time anyone saw Brad Chester after eating a Carolina Reaper jelly bean.
Brad Chester anecdote. After the finals have happened, a series of, I would call them prominent players, named players, including their fearless leader, came on, who immediately spilled his drink all over the stage, sloppily attempt to take a selfie, and culminate with me shooing them off the stage like barnyard animals. And eventually, once they all leave, Brad Chester is confusingly still lingering, realizing he's now on a stage alone, decides to leap off of it. And this
Oh,
is not
no.
a person. This is not a person who should leap at
The
all.
stage was like 5.5 feet off the ground.
I mean, it was shoulder. It was high. It was high up. And
did he tuck and roll, Val?
well, this is the thing. I remember time slowed down. So I
He's
see
just
him
been
sort
a
of like
Break.
$6 million man, like like he's at the apex of his jump, and I'm like, oh no, I'm
I'm
about to watch something awful happen. But at that moment, I kind of saw him sort of tucking a little bit. I saw him like getting kind of low, bracing for impact properly. I'm like, this guy might have this. And then he hit the ground, did a nice little roll. Apparently hurt his ankle really badly, but overall, I think he was okay, which was nice.
So what's the takeaway here, Val? Like, if you're geriatric, like 40K, it's a young man's game. Like, stay out of it.
I think you just got to send it and see what happens. And so far, it seems that old Chester keeps
ticking,
keeps going. Yeah.
If you can't make the top 8, make a name for yourself by jumping off of something in front of the top table. That is obviously the only way to go.
I also,
apparently-
he may have
was
just
gonna
thought
say-
he was crowd surfing and failed to realize there was no crowd there. I mean, that's also possible.
Couple things from chat here. Chan Papa, all
Easily
of the stories we
confused.
have told you today are true and are not memes. And then Nurgle Matthew, thank you so much for letting us know. It's just sprained. So he's going to make a full recovery
Great.
to be incredibly oppressive with Eldar in a couple months.
Well, all right, let's hold on. I don't want to say he's immediately going to be fine. You know, a lot of times these injuries on older folks, like once
Linger.
they get hurt, this is all kind of the long, slow, like spiral down. So, I mean,
And he might get slapped with that injury prone, tag. They might just be something that haunts him. He might have to drop out of future tournaments, pull up lame.
Yep.
Dice rolling hand gets gimpy. It could get.
He's got to check and make sure wheelchair access is good for the site, and
I love that now competitive 40K is at such a place that Art of War has an injured reserved list of players that they can't put out to tournaments because of that. They're going to pull them out there.
I'd say 50-50 shot we see him in hospice care by the end of the year.
Wow.
Wow.
Heavy.
Wow.
That's heavy.
That got dark real quick. I love it. It's coming from someone who's had elbow pain for 3 weeks now. I won't be joining in on the making fun of a sprained ankle.
Yeah, that's the same, John.
And I just want to clarify
I hope
that
it heals up.
he will be going there to bring joy and hope to all of the 40K fans. That's why he will be there.
Joy and hope being
Joy and hope.
two really great vineries in Southern Florida.
Very nice.
Thank you.
He just drank both of them.
In our newest segment, which I want to call Confusing Conversion Corner. And those are with C's, not with K's, for obvious reasons. We see some very animated conversions. There's a pun right here. As an animated conversion. A Shrek Ogren. Someone took a Shrek toy, glued a bunch of junk to it, and I guess it's a Bullgrin now. Danny, you have anything to say to this one here?
I'm honestly, John, I'm into it. Like anything, like I'm just glad to see that people are seeing Seth and they want to recreate that in their army, and kind of give him a little homage.
Of course, yeah. You can use them to block deep strikers by yelling out, "Get out of my swamp."
Yep.
Val, super cool conversion. Does this fit the fluff barrel for you?
Has this pardon?
Does this hit the fluff barrel for you? Is this a great conversion? Which is something you would feel?
The fluff barrow?
Yeah, what's the
Yeah. It's the part of you that appreciates the fluffy, fun parts of Warhammer. So you have your fluff barrel, and then you
barrel?
have your
Barrel? Is there an O in the end there?
no. There's a barrel. Barrel.
Okay. I don't see how that word applies, but no,
It
it doesn't at
contains
all.
your joy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So that one does not inspire joy. I'm really glad that you
No.
didn't just kind of keep pushing it and just didn't ignore it. And kinda, I will say, Danny's role typically is to shoot down things that I do.
Well, I would have, but you asked Val first, so I mean, like
that's fair.
I'm very good at the no and game.
Yeah, and then so fine, Danny. Does it fill your fluff barrel?
Look, it's going to take a lot to fill my fluff barrel. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's deep, yawning, if you will. And, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this guy, he'll go in there. I mean, he'll fit. But it's not going to be enough to fill me up.
And again, we're talking about a metaphorical barrel.
Well, my grandfather was a fluff cooper. And one who made fluff barrels.
I see.
Thank
Papa
you.
Heffelfinger was a fluff.
He was a fluff Cooper, and so I have pretty high standards for what might go in there. As you know, I only have heirloom fluff barrels made by my fluff Cooper
That's fair.
grandfather.
Matthew Killam on YouTube chat here, often confused with the lore drum,
Lord Drum.
which is a much better term.
A
We're
classic.
just going to pretend that I used the entire time.
Let's
there.
beat that Lord Drum. I like
Yeah,
it.
let's beat that lore drum. There's a segment right there. Hey, so how do we feel about this shard of the Deceiver disguised as Ariel from The Little Mermaid? One, should have been Ursula, who is the biggest deceiver in that movie. Two, someone modeled Shell Bikini Bra
Wait a minute.
for that.
Wait, let's hold on. I got to set some
Okay.
facts straight here. First of all, Ursula was not the villain of this story. She just wanted to, execute a contract. Ariel's the one who broke the contract. I mean,
It was
she knew what she
predatory
was writing.
lending. It was predatory lending.
Was
She
it,
did
though?
not know.
Was it?
Yeah.
She read what the terms and conditions were. I just feel like,
Look, guys, there's a very good Malcolm Gladwell podcast. I think it's a 3-parter on the Little Mermaid and the moral
really?
quandaries within. So we don't have to re-dig through all of that. I just want to say that this might be one of the finest conversions I have personally ever seen in my life, and I hope to one day see this on eBay.
the Sebastian Scarab is excellent.
You mean Scarabastian?
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. I can get one term. I can do one funny term in an episode. And I couldn't do that with Fluff Barrel. So Scarabastian is
I'm
where
glad
we're
the
at
Lord
here.
tried, though.
We retconned it to Lord Rum. Thanks, chat.
That's right, we did. Thanks, chat. Thank you for realizing that we're not going to be funny, and sometimes you have to be for us, and then you can pretend it was you or us. But yeah, it's a very unique conversion. I hope to see it on eBay. I think that's my favorite conversion I've seen, Danny, since the thick Land Raider we saw, which was just two Land Raiders side by side glued together.
Yeah,
it was
Mitch
about
bought
3
the
feet
thick
wide.
Land
Mitch
Raider.
bought that. Yeah, you
It sounds like a Bane blade.
He
Isn't that just
showed
a
it
Bane
to me.
blade?
Well, you would think.
No,
but
it
it's
was
much
literally
thicker.
it was literally two Land Raiders where they put the two hulls together and then the
Side
two
by
tracks
side.
at either side. Yeah, had a
Land
very
Raider
poor turning
Catamaran.
circle.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Anyway,
Very good.
Frontline Gaming has a brand new 44 by 60 table coming soon. Val, you guys saw it on the top tables at LVO. Danny, we saw it in person there. It's amazing. There's been some concerns on the price and kind of the general things about the table. As awful shills, what are your guys' thoughts on this new table?
It's pretty cool, man. I could show you what I'm working with right now. I can. I'll literally unplug my computer accidentally and ruin the show. But it's got 6 legs. Like, what kind of a table has 6 legs? And you definitely can't lean on it. So I'd say that this is a quantum leap. I don't know if that's a measurement that applies here, but a massive leap forward.
Scott Bakula show is what it is.
For Warhammer table technology. Would have liked to see them go with the traditional dimensions myself. The 6x4 give you a little bit of a sideboard room. Maybe if you want, I don't know, play a little Warhammer fantasy battles, you could still use the table.
Right.
It's now the second time you brought up Warhammer Fantasy on this.
We have some
yes.
listeners agreeing with you in the chat, Val. They say, yeah, they do wish that it was 4x6.
That being said, though, it's a little bit higher, so it's nice in from that respect. You can see these are tall lads. Oh, I've ruined the joke. Never mind. But anyway, it's a good table. I don't know. Did you guys get to roll some dice, see how it felt?
Well, I got to see the table. Obviously, with my performance and skill as a player, I was nowhere near a table or event that would be using those tables. Danny, did you get to see those ones at all?
Rich told me I had to stay 3 feet away from it at all times because he was afraid that I was going to break it.
That's fair.
So,
that's fair.
And to be fair, I was definitely going to do a weight limit test on the table. So, he was right to do that.
Yeah, it was a 300-pound weight limit table right there.
It's not enough.
It was sitting by the registration line in the hall. I will say there's a picture we can bring up here. Frontline Gaming released a professionally produced advert, none of this FLG and schlock, with the for their fat mat or their mats, their Frontline Gaming mats. Man, the table was the secret Easter egg in that was showing up there, as we can kind of see in this picture here. That's the FLG table that they're playing on.
Reese is looking real tight in that picture.
Looks tight.
I'm going to say 2 things, and we'll explain the tight thing. One, Val, we could have that picture back up there. Guys, I want to make it whenever you win a game of Warhammer, you got to pose like Reese. Look at that real joy at an actual game situation that in no way was directed to be like, hey, you just made a really good roll. That is now your winner's pose that we want to do. A little fist bump. Looks like he's going to try and punch Frankie in the face with the other hand there. Love it.
I think the second best Easter egg in that commercial is that Reese is playing Tau. I thought that's particularly rich.
Oh man, that's meta.
He was all excited, and then of course Beard AK. Thank you for this. So Danny will never pose like Reese. Winners
like that all
always
the
pose
time.
like Reese.
Don't tell me
We're
what to
gonna
do.
pose like that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
guys, send in your pictures posing like Reese. Just
Yeah.
fist pump, armed arm. And more to Danny, what you were saying. Why don't you take us through our wonderful registration experience on the Thursday at the Las Vegas Open?
So John and I originally got in the big line, and then Reese came down the line and was like, "Hey, all you guys who are in the high roller package, you don't have to stand in the bitch line anymore." And so we got out and we walked over to the high roller line, spitting on the peasants on the way there, which was just excellent. And so we're there,
Especially in
and
COVID when we're wearing masks. It was more purely like for our feeling.
when you're
But
a
our
high
masks
roller,
were
you don't have to wear anything at all. Let me tell you. And
because you can't afford it after buying the high roller pack.
yeah, that's it. No. Anyway, so we're standing there in line, and there is just a guy in front of us who is quite a character. And as we're getting close, he looks at Reese and he says, "Reese, man, you are looking real tight today."
Well, I think said is a really polite way to say yeah.
True or false,
was
there was a
explained.
bro in that statement, because that does change the tenor of the comment.
I
Matt,
don't know
no.
if there was a bro.
There was not a bro. We were standing
Yeah.
there and he was like,
Okay.
"Hey, Reese, man, you looking real tight today." And
All
then
right.
Reese was like, yeah, thanks.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks. And then I think, Danny, the best part was when he turned around,
Yeah.
slapped his buddy on the shoulder beside him and was like, yo, he is though. Like whispered it so no one else heard it but him and his friend
And us.
and the 5 or 6 people around us. It was very disturbing.
I don't know if that's disturbing. I think Reese has been working hard at his personal fitness, and it's nice to see people out there appreciating his efforts. I mean, you can't just post topless photos of yourself in Fit 40K all the time and get all of the reinforcement that you want. You want to hear that on the streets, and I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And if we go back to that picture of that FLG table, you'll see Reese's reaction when someone called him tight.
Yeah, perfect reaction.
Love it. All right. Before we get to our guest, there's one more thing we're going to cover, and that is the Cherokee Open.
Oh,
yeah, this is exciting stuff here.
something
The Frontline Gaming Cherokee Open is the next big event, and it kicks off the 2022 ITC season. The new chapter approved will be in use, and the Cherokee Open takes place in the beautiful Smoky Mountains on the Cherokee Reservation, just a few hours from Hotlanta, Charlotte, and Chattanooga. Many other cities. The venue is awesome! ! It is in a brand new convention center, which is an entertainment center with bowling alleys and an arcade attached to the resort, and it is just down the road from the national park. Board games will be available to play for free after the tournament ends each day, and there's a meet and greet planned for Thursday night at the bar. Tickets are still on sale for the 40K champs and the Long War doubles. Come battle it out for your ITC points and have a fun weekend hanging out with your buddies.
You know, John, I would have hoped that you could deliver that with at least the enthusiasm that you give a pubic hair trimmer. You know, like just as if you were as excited about the Cherokee Open as you would be a trim bush.
Look, you can get a lot from promo code Falcon on Manscaped.com. And I'm excited to save people money.
See,
like
the tone has totally changed.
You're
grounded. You believe in what you're saying. It's just different, man.
I was reading the copy here. I didn't even read it as verbatim as it said. Where are we down here in the notes? There is a meet and greet planned for Thursday night at the bar, is what my text says. So there's no planning. There's just a meet and greet. A meet and greet, Seth and Kicker. Go crazy. Val, are you going to be meeting and greeting at the Cherokee Open?
I will not. Cherokee Open will be streamed by fan favorite War Games Live. So Joe will be the one down there. So maybe you can meet and greet Joe. He's 9 feet tall. Looks like Paul Bunyan.
He is very tall.
He's a big guy. Actually, you guys are humongous. Like this is something I like. Danny, like I knew you're tall. I knew you were tall. You're broad. You're loud. You're proud. You're big. You're in charge. John, you do not give the like 6'3" vibes, which you are. You're gigantic.
Very 5'11" energy coming.
Like you guys are an intimidating presence. I bet you did well in the long word doubles just from the amount of meat that they had to.
We went 3-0 in games and 0-3 in sportsmanship.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Because again, our theme was winning. I feel we played to our theme very well. Danny,
and cheating. That was our other theme.
Oh yeah, Danny accidentally cheated a bunch.
Sorry. Just on one thing. It was fine.
On the plus side, we refused all prize support because we didn't win anything.
Did we refuse all prize support?
No, we just left to go to a buffet that we didn't have reservations for. So didn't get into.
Okay. Here's another thing. So slight beef here.
Go ahead.
When is Long Word Double gonna open up? Like what the overall rankings are? Like I want to see. Like how do I know how we did if we didn't stick around because we had better things to do?
You want to see how well we did on a fun team tournament where wins didn't matter.
Man, we went 3-0
because we left to go to dinner.
Look, John, I think it's a reasonable expectation that you would be able to see maybe how you did it at an event that you were in.
So anyway, these guys are making Long Word Double sound as fun as it actually is.
It is. It's a blast.
It's a great time. It's stolen. It's the format stolen right out of Adepticon. It's half of the Adepticon team tournament, really, which is fantastic. It's a great format, and you can enjoy that format at the Cherokee Open. Kicker, super excited about this one. He was like, this was his big secret for a long time. He like kept it close to his chest from me for a very long time, and he like, I can't talk about it. It's super special. So he's really excited. It is a great venue. It's a cool location. I think it's kind of underserved area for majors. I'd be there if it wasn't like less than a month after LVO, and I love my family, so that's how she goes.
Long Word Doubles always a lot of fun. Danny and I, we've done it every year we've gone, and I have 3 great games against 3 great opponents, or 6 great opponents, I should say. Technically,
every single opponent that we had was amazing. Like we were really lucky.
Apart from you know who I'm talking.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So all 6 of our opponents, I apologize. I'm the worst.
I'm perfect. I made literally no mistakes. My goal was to go in and die and score points, and I did one of those things.
Yeah, you did. You won
every
game we played in, John.
How many pube trimmers do you think Nurgle Matthew has moved for you?
Man, I would like to think a lot. And that got us a real good rate with Manscaped. So thank you for your shorn body support, Nurgle Matthew.
Okay, so we've done 40 minutes and haven't even got through the introduction. I think we've tap danced our way around this one. This is pretty good.
Let's talk about the event.
Let's talk about the Ocho, the stream, the crown jewel in the FLGN lineup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, there was a stream. It was it was
all right, let's
call it
what
good.
About it? Wrap it up. Let's go.
All right. Good job, boys.
Good job, boys.
Let's
I think that went pretty well. Let's
wrap
it up there.
Mm-hmm.
No. So Val, you've done so much streaming in the past 12 months through FLG, through other people as well. You've done a ton of streams, smooth as ever, as I am. What did you kind of find from LVO that was different from like your first stream that you started this process on last year?
Well, yeah, it was the Lone Star Open was the first stream that we did, and I think stylistically was probably the best one that I had all year. We figuring it out.
Only
because we were just throwing stuff out there. Like it was kind of it was very experimental, and we got sort of more traditional as the year went on. I'm saying we, but mostly me in doing a lot of the figuring out how stuff would work. It really evolved over the year from like the Ocho was in 2020, and it was kind of funny. We were the War Games Live to Games Workshop's Frontline Gaming Network stream at the time. So we were the ones that people were going to the Games Workshop chat saying that we were better than the other one. So like can't stand still in this world. But yeah, we didn't have a table, so like we actually moved around with just purely mobile cameras. And the idea was that we would cover the tournament. They would have a top table or whatever they wanted to cover, and we would do the rest of the tournament. We had Peter the Falcon sort of running around doing like table side analysis and giving score updates and that kind of stuff. And it was a real seat of our pants operation. It was awesome. And so when I was coming into this, I wanted to do that, but like on purpose. So we were going to, have all these mobile cameras and be able to go anywhere we wanted to in the tournament area. What I came to find out was that mobility wasn't necessarily, that important because when you are the stream, you can have people pick really good games. I also had the strength of, we were working with Paul Murphy, Nick Danavati on some of them, and then Adam Camilleri, and then a lot of really great co-hosts that were alongside him. These are people who can pick matchups that are likely to be entertaining. So the likelihood of there needing to be a backup game or some sort of B story or C story to duck into was actually pretty low. A lot of games went the distance, and it was actually pretty interesting that I sort of came full circle. I wanted to cover as many tables as possible when we started the year. Standing where I am right now, I think I would rather put all the resources we can into one table, do a really good job with it, and then do a better job of covering the rest of the tournament in general rather than putting a lot of resources into other games. So that's kind of like the style journey we went on. LVO itself, was a really big thing for me. I was super, super excited to do it as a Frontline Gaming show. And I will say that of all the ones we did this year, the various people who helped me and stuff, it's the one that I kind of wish I had another go about on. And it's really has nothing, like people have been saying. I think Seth was concerned my feelings were hurt by Reddit or something, but I can assure you that no one's hurt my feelings about it. There were lots of things that just didn't come together for me. It wasn't where I wanted it to be. I really wanted the LVO to be sort of that, like, the best stream that, we were capable of producing, and I just didn't get it there. So it was still a good show. We had like
it was
5,000 people.
What didn't come together? Because it was a great stream. It was very stable. From what I saw there, like there was extra things kind of coming in. You had your kind of camera that could flip between. What are some things that you were really hoping to kind of get going that just didn't happen?
Well, like I guess when you're doing this, I like when I was coming into this, I something I used to say a lot was that I think the technical challenge of just getting video and audio coming out of wherever you're streaming from is enough for a lot of streams. Like that's pretty difficult, and I kind of scoffed at it. And so by that I mean it's like, oh, come on, we can do that. Like, so we can do all these other fancy things and layer complexity on top of it, and we can do even more than just a top-down camera and all that. But the reality is that when every element that you add the chance of something going wrong, you add the chance of something not working. You have to be able to troubleshoot and get through it. And we don't exactly, do rehearsal or anything like that. I don't have access to my equipment because I'm Canadian, so I leave it in America.
Canada famously doesn't let you own streaming equipment without a government license, and those are really hard to get a hold of.
Little thing called the United States Border whatever agency probably would question mark someone crossing the border 7 times with a gigantic Pelican filled with cameras. Just saying. So that's one of the reasons why I left all the stuff down there. But anyway. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, you guys do creative endeavors, like you have sort of in your imagination what you wanted to get to. I just didn't get to that spot in my imagination. That's all. Well, I don't think it was unwatchable or bad. It just wasn't up to the expectations that I had for myself. And the next one will be better. I guarantee that much. Learned a ton. And just would have liked to have had the show that I imagined. And that's not to say it was a bad show. Peter and Adam were amazing. There was some comments around like not having player mics at the table. the thing that's really frustrating about that is I have a stylistic perspective on this about whether or not you should have player mics. But the goal was to have the player audio going to the announcers, and just couldn't get the routing right. Couldn't get the.
It's in there. It's in there.
Yeah,
it's in the guide.
no player mics.
No player mics. See Nanavati N is what it says beside it.
So yeah, I had 4 wireless, microphones sitting at the tables. We even had them mic'd up for one round. We had Dustin Henshaw remotely table bossing for the first day at least, before Mitch came to the rescue. So like we had the technology, it was there. It just I wasn't able to get it working effectively so that it was useful. I've been sort of debriefing with everyone who was on it, including from streams past, just trying to figure out like exactly what were the best things that we did that we keep, and then figure out what we might double down on. There are things that, like the gear setup that I was running and all that kind of stuff, that was designed to do sort of a different show than the one that it wound up being by the time I got to LVO. So I have a lot of wireless cameras and things like that, which are unnecessary. You can be wired and much more reliable if you're just shooting one table. So yeah, I think there's lots of things to learn. And it was ultimately an amazing show we did. It was certainly the most watched show on any platform that we'd done this year. I think it was more watched than any previous LVO, probably with the exception of the first one that Games Workshop did, which mysteriously hit like 16 or 17,000 people.
Russian bots.
Maybe. But yeah, after that they settled down into the thousands. But yeah, I think for the GW streams we were doing between 1,000 and 2,000 would be sort of the low to the peak. Most of our FLGN streams would have been, I don't know, in the hundreds to the low thousands sort of in viewership. So it was substantially larger in that respect.
That's awesome.
And that's cool. Having people watching and is amazing. I think it's cool to be, I wrote this on Reddit, but it's cool that the criticism isn't it's stupid to stream Warhammer, which
is that a concern?
Well, no, but I think that's just how fast and how far we've come. I think because it's stupid to stream Warhammer was the thesis that was for a long time. It's impossible to have an entertaining game of Warhammer streamed, and I think there are a number of games, even during that we streamed at the LVO, that were 100% entertaining, watchable stuff that was good to be there live seeing. We've seen stuff Joe has done that's fantastic. We're seeing all the YouTube streamers who are presenting games live. So I think this concept that like Warhammer is too ungainly, too boring to be something that could be a spectator thing. I think it's just patently not true. I think what needs to happen is continued innovation and how you tell the story of a game of 40K.
And I will say to those who are saying that the commentators should just be fed the player mics and kind of recapping that, I challenge anyone watching or listening to do an entertaining narrative of a game while 2 people are constantly talking in your ear about what's going on. It's hard. It is far more difficult.
So
sorry.
That's a conversation I had with Peter the Falcon afterwards, and I think a lot of people know he's an air traffic controller guy. He's like, that's my job. I listen to people talking in my ear, and I have to hear them while also talking. That's kind of the gig. And in fact, any commentator that you see, like you see a guy on TV with a headset or an earpiece in, that monitor is the producer in their ear, basically constantly chattering at them. That really is one of the skills of live production, broadcast talent, is the ability to talk while receiving instruction. So yeah, we can definitely do that and push that more, because ultimately, if we're going to evolve the production quality, we will have to have talent like commentators who are able to handle that, because it's just the way you run a production. So yeah, we got to push that, and we were doing it. Having the tables, I think really the place to go will be to actually give, and this is why I was suggesting to Peter, would be to give the hosts basically a soundboard so that they can bring the level of the table in or out as they need. So for example, if they want to listen to the table with the audience, they can. If they want to just listen to themselves, they can. and they can affect that balance, I think that would be a really good element of control to give them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some things that when they happened, you were like, yes, exactly this? Like, what were some of your like aha moments from the weekend?
Yeah. What did you? What were your wins?
Yeah.
What were my wins? The spectacle of the LVO itself is just
Sure.
outstanding. Yeah, it's outstanding. Like in my the shot that I sort of really wanted and was looking forward to, spend a little bit of money on a DJ lighting rig setup so I could get sort of lights and cameras out of the frame. It was just basically, you know, looking down the table into the auditorium. Because I think like the massiveness of even smaller tournaments, it's we take for granted. Like if you go to, well, for those of us who are able to, if you've ever been to even like one of the GW tournaments, there are like 256 players. It's like 128 tables. It's a lot of space, and it's a lot of like intricately built stuff. It is a hell of a production, and I just think that the visual elements of a large scale Warhammer tournament are just immediately hooking. Like it's something that can capture someone's attention and make them say, "What the hell is this?" So that worked out really well. Peter and Adam, I think, were fantastic. I guess we didn't. I guess that's not much of a surprise. I really enjoyed in the final round, although again we were stepping on things a bit, but I really enjoyed the kineticness of 40K. I think one of the things that makes 40K boring is if you're only looking at the models, they're not moving. Bring the camera back, players are always moving. So it's very, and players move in different ways. So it's interesting to see, like a Lone Star Open, I kind of really remember Sean Naden kind of like really circling the table a lot and like really standing over John Lennon, and John Lennon kind of responding and doing the same thing as well, making sure that, you know, I guess no one was really dominating the physical space.
Right.
And just, you know, how players actually interact and their body language and all that stuff adds, I think, to the drama. If you could hear a bit of what they were saying, yeah, I think that's another piece of the story that you can add to it. But yeah, I think those were fantastic. It looked pretty good
How
from
much
that
of your
respect.
streams are going to be affected by chat? Because we've seen kind of like some of our chat right now is going about like comments made on the War Games live stream. There's certainly comments made on the FLGN streams from LVO. How much do those chats impact the game state for you guys, or kind of how you approach production?
Well, I think this was the first chat that got toxic all year. I think we're a bit naive about it. Actually, we had two moderators. We had Nick Horton and Tanya, the War Mistress, were moderating. When you got 5,000 people in chat, and if it turns, it's a bit much. I think we could potentially switch to something like a sub-only solution, so that way maybe you have a bit more of a constructive audience, or at least someone who's chipped you $5 to call you an asshole.
Is that,
Yeah.
Is that how GW has their setup traditionally?
Yeah.
As subscribers only are allowed to comment?
I want to say so, yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Because there was a stream where I had to comment on something and I had to subscribe for 1 month, thanks Twitch Prime. Otherwise, it wouldn't have let me.
And there's got some questions here about like what got toxic about chat. I think they kind of got hung up a little bit on like some of the opinion is, are custodians OP or not OP? I don't know. They just got talking around in circles. They were spamming the chat with certain things over and over again. It wasn't something I could really follow, but I know that when I checked my messages after the game, I did have some exasperated moderators. You know, and it wasn't horrible or anything. You know, it was just sort of, this is a very chippy chat. Whereas like you look at something like the SoCal Open, when we got to the you know, the end, and it was just that blowout. You know, the orcs just literally coming on the screen and absolutely nuking that Sean Aiden's Drakari.
It was good for 3 weeks of jokes, though. I do appreciate it.
It was good for 3 weeks of jokes, and honestly, it was the chat could have been crusty and really awful, but I guess they weren't really. They were like, it was kind of, I don't know. It was kind of had a bit of fun with it. This one wasn't so much fun. It just sort of felt kind of salty. But that's how she goes sometimes. It is the internet, guys.
How
Fair
do you
point.
feel about and Danny jumping? Because I know I'm taking 100%
No,
of the
you're
power
fine.
right now. How do you feel about the fact, like looking through some of the tables, the lower end, where I inhabited all weekend? There was people streaming their games from their phones and devices, and they had little lights set up on the table. How do you feel about these uh, pirate streamers? I guess your events there.
I'm all for it, man. I was a pirate streamer. Heck, GW let us have a guy on their table. So and I think people, especially with the Joe thing. By the way, I keep mentioning War Games Live Joe. War Games Live Joe is a guy, in case you don't know, who has at some point in the last year decided that he was sick and tired of bad streams, and so he was going to set out on a cross tour of America to stream 40K every weekend. A mission that he has successfully been doing pretty much ever since. I think he started at least 6 months ago, at
Mhm.
least.
I was going to say, if you want to know more about him, we interviewed him on this very show about that
We
very
sure
thing.
did.
That's correct. So like Joe is literally his full-time focus. And he also has a very different style about it. It's sort of like he's kind of like not quite Bob Ross, but he's very sort of relaxed. The players sort of narrate the action because they're mic'd, and he sort of comes in and out and talks with chat, and it's kind of more like a 40K and chill kind of vibe to it, as opposed to, I think, the vision that I have for what we're trying to do is more of like like a grand production, like an event that's going on. And he's very model centric, and he's got style choices that I think are awesome. It's just he has a different take on how to produce it, and it's very good. And I think a lot of people really like what he does, and so that's why he was invited to come stream alongside us, because I think he's awesome. And
He does a good
he
job.
he streamed New Orleans Open for us, and he'll be streaming Cherokee Open again. So Joe's an awesome partner. He's a free agent out there. Like it's his stream. He streams to his channel, War Games Live. But he's an awesome dude, and I think he deserves all the kudos and adulation that he gets. Yeah. So anyway, that's who Joe is, and that's who I keep talking about. So having Joe there, awesome. Having some guy streaming with a body cam, sure, why not?
I think that was
we're
more
talking
for evidence
like
than streaming.
we had so that was the biggest stream that we'd done in 40K that I know of in the last year for a tournament anyway, was what we were doing. And we're talking about 5,000 people, right? The issue isn't that that we've reached anywhere near the possible audience, right? The audience potential is many orders of magnitude higher than what are actually tuning in. So there should be, in my personal opinion, there should be no real covetousness over, like, if we're fighting over those 5,000 people, we're going to fail. Like, there's no point in doing this. What we need to be doing is finding all the different ways that you can tell a story of a game of 40K. And the more people who are trying, the more different things we'll figure out. And the closer we're going to get to a format that works really well, that's engaging and dynamic and does justice to the game that we all spend way too much time obsessing about.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
getting that experience, right? Like of you being at the event, and like that's the best part about going to these huge events. Like, it's just the atmosphere is incredibly cool, and like there's so many people there that have exactly the same things in common that you do with them. Like there's a lot of camaraderie there, and it's a really great feeling to experience. And I think that, like, as we progress with stream technology, I think that we'll get there, Val. I think it's going to be close to being there yourself, right?
Yeah, and it's an iterative process. I think something I said on the Reddit post, and I've said elsewhere, is like we're really defining a genre, right? Like dynamic
Absolutely.
tabletop gaming coverage. First of all, who even tries to do that? So that's great. So many people even making a go at this is fantastic. But finding ways to share, I don't know, the really cool communal experience of being at a 40K tournament, I think it's awesome. We'll get more people hopefully interested in going to 40K tournaments. I think the general vibe that you see on these streams is positive. There were a couple like sort of I remember there was one funny pantomime of Mitch laying into two players about clock issue that they were having. But that's like that may have been the most dramatic moment that we had. That was sort of like an uncomfortable one. But yeah, like there's just so much good that comes out of these tournaments that I think having them streamed and represented well is really really crucial for growing that experience for other people to enjoy too.
For sure.
Yeah. So you have like War Games Live obviously helping out and hosting his stream through FLGN to kind of help out there. Is that something we're going to see more of in the upcoming year, or kind of what are your plans for the future of streaming on Frontline Gaming?
Yeah, so we're figuring it out. I mean, the goal will always be to have very good coverage of every event. I certainly expect to be out there streaming for BAO, Atlantic City Open, maybe SoCal again. I think it just wholeheartedly depends on personal life. I think another part of the reflection of this is really essential is making sure that it's something that can be sustainable. So that includes, making sure costs are managed, getting the amount of people who are supporting it to a reasonable level. All that kind of stuff just has to be figured out because ultimately it hasn't really been done at this scale before. I mean, there's definitely people out there who have been doing it. I mean, I've learned a tremendous amount from the Honest Wargamer, Rob Symes. The
Tremendous stream setup from that guy as well, by the way. Like
really awesome stream setup. A lot of like super cool and a great resource for the community and very passionate and opinionated about the right way to cover games.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's great. Like, I would like to think that I'd like to think that I have a style. Rob certainly has a style. Joe has a style. You look at how when the Titans came out, like it's not live tournament coverage, it was live games. They had a presentation style that changed how everyone produced live battle reports immediately, right?
Yep.
So it's that kind of stuff. Like everyone out there who's trying, who does something that's effective will immediately get sort of copycatted, and that's a good thing. That means that everyone sort of is incrementally raising the quality of these streams, and eventually, hopefully we can do them, consistently and sustainably, and it's never a question about whether or not we can get out there and put on a good show.
Then last question for me here before we wrap this up and send everyone home. And Danny, feel free to add in at the end here. The main feedback coming from the community around the Las Vegas Open stream this year was the lack of coverage for Age of Sigmar, which I'm sure has many specific reasons why it didn't happen. But maybe you want to kind of touch on one or two of those. Yeah,
there's one specific reason. There's no stream team for our Age of Sigmar. That's the reason. I mean, it starts and ends there. I think in 2020, you essentially had Games Workshop covering the main tournament, and then the Age of Sigmar event was covered. Sort of, they used Frontline Gaming's old equipment setup to cover AOS as best they could. But it was still sort of token coverage. I don't remember hearing like particularly massive reviews about that. What we need are streamers who are as passionate about sharing AOS stories as some of the people who are out there trying to stream 40K stuff. And I'm sure they exist. There were other streams coming out of LVO that are absolutely insane. The Kill Team stream is phenomenal. There's some Star Wars Legions guys who are streaming that are excellent. I think X-Wing was also streaming. So there are other ones too that I'd walk by them and be like, "Geez, I'm a chump." But the guy who's still streaming Kill Team, he's a pro photographer, so he's got all the toys. Showed up in Vegas a week or two before the event and took actual drone flyby footage of the Rio. So he had like his intro featured original aerial photography of the venue at night and during the day. It was so nice. Like, check it out. Cool. I think it's Kill Team Stream on YouTube. You can go check out the quality there. So there's, and the reason why those guys were streaming was because they stepped up into something they want to do. So I encourage anyone out there who's got a taste for live production and a passion for Age of Sigmar, get out there and start streaming more.
Yeah. Danny, what else do you have here for Val before we let everyone get off to the
Man,
land of
John,
bed?
you had some great questions. Like
It's
in the
because I
stuff
write them all down. Yeah,
I can
I
tell,
don't
yeah,
write them down.
clearly
Yeah.
as usual. No, I'm definitely good. Val, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us on your show.
Yeah. Yeah, we joke about the skill of being able to produce live content while having someone talking in your ear. If anything was smoother this week, it's because I didn't have to think, because it was talking to my face,
Yep.
It's
which
true.
was really nice. It's
And
true.
I'm not a
True.
cartoon because, in true keeping with
Grim After Dark.
with my production skills on Grim After Dark, was unable to get the friggin' cartoon working. So next time I appear, you will not see my face, but I did wear these dumb glasses to make up for it.
Heck yeah. And then hopefully LVO 2023, there'll be a Sir Val drone taking some really long building shots beforehand
Perfect.
and afterwards.
That's right. Well, now I'm
I
just
think
gonna
that-
get just gonna get the Kill Team stream to do my footage. For me.
You want to do a flyby of this store? Thanks. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Guys, we're all going to be back next week. I'm sure Val will be reinstalled in his Sir Val state and his wonderful Goat Boy art. We are back. Season 2, I'm calling it, even though nothing's really changed. We're going to be getting the biggest guests. We're going to be talking to the best people about something we all love, which is, of course, Warhammer. I will say, a little inside baseball, we've only ever had 2 people say no to the show. Both of those have been because they've received death threats. So do a better job, community. You're making it really hard to book this show sometimes. It's just little plastic space dolls, honestly. But we're going to be getting some Black Library authors. We're going to be reaching out to all of your favorite streamers, YouTubers, anyone you want to see, we're going to have on to really share that love of Warhammer and kind of get to the bottom of what makes them tick. That's my manifesto. Next week, I'm sure we'll just have Val on again when I forget to do all that. But for Danny, for Val, I've been John. This has been Grim After Dark, and we will see you Monday. Boom.